Hey everyone, welcome to the Vegas Knows podcast brought to you by BuckeyeScoop.com. I am Marc Givler, joined as always by Bill Greene. We did some futures at last update. We're going to start doing this weekly now, so we're going to get into our weekly picks here, both college and NFL. It's week 2 now of college football season, so we got a glimpse of some of these teams last week. So now we maybe have something to go off of, and the NFL kicks off here this week, so we'll get into some of that stuff as well. But let's first, we're going to talk about the Ohio State Oregon game. We're just going to lead off with that because I know a lot of people are going to be, interested to kind of talk about that and listen to what we have to say on that and maybe fade us on that. But, Ohio State right now, I'm seeing 14.5-point favorite, at home against Oregon on Saturday. Ohio State, probably didn't play their A game by any stretch last week against Minnesota. But Oregon really struggled with Fresno. You got the Kayvon Thibodeau situation. Is he playing? Is he not playing? The Josh Proctor situation. Is he playing? Is he not playing for Ohio State? Bill, you actually have a play you like in this game. So we'll start there. What do you like in this matchup on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought the line on the game I thought was, a pretty darn good line. And I could see people playing both sides of that one. I thought 14.5 probably right on the money for me, but that total, I got it at 63. And man, my numbers show this to be maybe a 40-33 game or something like that. I don't see how Ohio State doesn't get there 40 to 45. And I don't think it's asking much, for Oregon to get in that 24 range. So I could see this thing falling 70, maybe a little higher than 70. So I'm taking a shot at the game going over 63. I just think Ohio State has that quick strike ability to put points up quickly. And I think Oregon can cause a little bit of trouble for Ohio State with their speed on the outside. And then the quarterback's going to run the option. They're going to run that speed option. And he also likes to run the quarterback draw. And that has hurt Ohio State for the past 2-3 years. They've really been vulnerable to running quarterbacks. You don't see them all that much in the Big Ten, but this guy can run. So, and they've got 2 speed backs. So I'm looking for points to be scored here in this game. I think this game is going to be a 3.5, 4-hour game. We're going to be out there all day, and I'm looking for points.
Yeah, I don't have any high conviction picks on this game. I know, there's a few games we're going to talk about that we each like. And I know the over/under in this game was going to be one of your picks, whether we covered, whether we cover Ohio State or whether we were going to talk about this game or not. You were going to make that pick. I would go with you on the over if I had to. I'm not, it's not like an official pick of mine. I would probably take the points with Oregon if I had to, but again, that's not an official pick of mine. I just, I thought they did a pretty good job with this. I just don't know. The week 1 to week 2, I think is probably the biggest improvement a lot of teams make throughout the year. You get that first game out of the way. And so we may see very different teams on the field on Saturday than maybe what we watched last weekend, when I don't think maybe we were super, super impressed with what we saw from either team. I think Ohio State had more good for them. I think they're playing a much better team in Minnesota, but still some issues there defensively. And, Ohio State's got to get healthy. But I agree, as we talk this through, I do agree on the over. I think because of the uncertainty with some of all these guys we're talking about, maybe not playing on Saturday. Will they play? Won't they play? These are all defensive guys. So anyone that's out is going to help the offenses. And I do worry for Ohio State. My concern is the threat of the quarterback run, not in terms of design plays or anything like that, but in terms of just when things, maybe aren't there, break down, and how that inexperienced back seven is going to, kind of deal with that. So yeah, I could definitely see the over here. The line, like I said, if I gun to my head, I'll take the points, but I think they kind of nailed this one. I think that's kind of right on the money as well. All right, well, let's move into some of your favorites here. If I think you got three that you like so far.
Yeah.
Outside of the Ohio State Oregon game, what's of those 3, is there one that you like more than the others, or kind of, maybe your best pick of the week?
Yeah, I really like NC State going on the road down at Mississippi State. Mississippi State won last week, and they looked terrible, and they got a lot of breaks to win their game. And I thought NC State was really good, and I loved what I saw out of them against South Florida. So I know the ACC got up to a really bad start last week and things didn't look too good for them, but I think this team's good. So I'm taking NC State -1.5 down at Mississippi State. So like that team, and I think they can challenge maybe Clemson or in North Carolina, Miami in the ACC. I really like them.
Yeah, that's not one of mine, so that's good. I mean, we're getting more games in here when we don't overlap, so that's certainly going to be an interesting game. The ACC took their lumps a bit last week, but I think you're on to something there. I do think NC State's probably one of the better teams in the league this year, and Mississippi State just doesn't look like it's going to be a great year down in Starkville. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch, kind of see where those teams are at. I have a little bit of a trend here on a couple of these picks. If you guys listened to our last one when we talked about some of the futures, and there were two teams I liked on the futures stuff on the win totals, and I'll get into the second one here in a minute. But the first one that I really liked, we talked about, I think we both liked, and I think at the time I couldn't find a line on them, was Rutgers, and I thought Rutgers was a sleeper, like 6-6 bowl team this year that kind of people are kind of think are going to be in the basement of the Big Ten. I think they're gonna be a little bit better than that. Playing a terrible opponent last week, but they won by 100 points or whatever it was last week. I really like them -2 at Syracuse. I think Syracuse is bad. And the ACC in general is really bad. I think Rutgers is probably still being undervalued just because they haven't really played a real team yet. And so I think there's still going to be some value there. I think people still assume this is going to be like a 3 or 4 win team. Again, I think this is a 6, maybe even if breaks go a certain way, maybe even a 7-win team. So I'm going to lay the 2 there and take Rutgers -2 at Syracuse. Part of this maybe is some validation bias on my end, where this is what I thought before the season, and then they kind of maybe looked good week 1, and so I'm kind of riding the wave there a little bit, and maybe I'll get burned on that. But that's one of my favorite picks of the week. What's up next for you, Bill?
Yeah, I got another total here. Penn State is home this week, playing Ball State. Let me check that line. 57.5 is the total. I think Penn State has an amazing defense. They looked tremendous last week against Wisconsin, but I don't think their offense is very good at all. 57.5, it means, each team's got to get 30 to beat you. I don't know if either team will get to 30. I know Ball State won't, and I don't think Penn State will. So I don't see any way this thing gets into the high 50s. I think Penn State could have a little bit of a letdown coming off that big road win last week at Wisconsin. And Ball State's good, but I don't think they're a dynamic offense going to score points on Penn State. I don't see how they get 14. And I think Penn State will probably score maybe 30. So they're not going to score 60 points and beat me in this one, I don't think. So I'm going to go ahead and bet the under in the Penn State Ball State game, under 57.5. And, it won't surprise me if this is like a 9-0 game at the half. So we'll see. You never know, but I really like the way this thing lines up.
Yeah, it's a nice pick. I didn't even really, to be honest, I saw the lines at 22 for the game. So I moved on from there. I never even looked at the over-under. So as you kind of talked out your thinking there, that makes a lot of sense to me. Could be one of those ugly games where, 27-13 or something like that. Penn State sleepwalks a little bit. And then you're comfortably under there. I'm going to get to so here's my second one. I kind of talked about this a minute ago, where there were some things I liked preseason that I think validated me a little bit week 1. And so now I'm going to kind of double down on that with some of these picks here. I've got Texas -7 at Arkansas, and that may be a trap line because I don't think Arkansas is any good. Again, I liked the Texas over. I think it was 8 wins on the season or whatever it was. I liked that going into the year. I think Texas is going to have a good season given their schedule. And I'm not necessarily buying them long-term, but just for this season, I think with the talent they have, the schedule they have, and they looked pretty good last week. They covered against Louisiana, who's, is Louisiana really top 25? I don't know. They beat Iowa State last year and had just about their whole team back. So maybe they are. So I thought they looked pretty good last week. I didn't watch the Arkansas game, but I don't think they looked particularly good. Just from what I was, kind of following online and seeing from the box scores and things like that, and just kind of hearing people on Twitter kind of that were watching the game. So I don't know that Arkansas is much of a threat here. That, again, this could be a trap game. This could be classic Texas, goes and gets a little momentum week one and then falls all over themselves against Arkansas. And I get caught up in the wash here, but I'm going to take Texas -7. I think they'll win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. And that was another one that jumped out at me. And hopefully I'm not just going off of, my preseason thoughts, maybe thinking they were validated after week one and getting, too cocky on some of that stuff. But that's what I'm going with. And then I think you got one more, Bill.
Yeah. Kind of not one I love that much, but one I like is Cal. The Cal Bears go on the road to play at TCU. They're getting 11. Cal did not play well last week. I mean, historically, they've had really good defense under Justin Wilcox. I think they've got a quarterback this year that can move the ball. And boy, if you go back the last 3 or 4 years, they have been money when they are a road underdog or a home underdog. They're amazing as underdogs. Last week they were favored. They got beat outright. But so I think they're going to bounce back. I like Justin Wilcox as a coach. I'm not buying this TCU team at all. And I think it'll be one of those games that goes right to the last possession. So I'll take Cal plus the 11 points here.
I don't think you're going to like my next one. So we'll see. This is maybe my overreaction bet of the week. This is my overreacting to week one bet. I've got Iowa plus 4.5 at Iowa State. Iowa State looked terrible. Iowa looked really good against Indiana. I don't think Matt Campbell beat Iowa yet. I don't think he has.
They haven't yet.
Even those games always seem to come down to a field goal anyway. So if you got the 4.5, you should be okay. Am I guaranteeing that Iowa wins? No, but I think they might. And I'll take the 4.5. I did not like anything I saw from Iowa State last week, and I liked everything I saw from Iowa. These are the types of Kirk Ferentz teams that he's one of those guys. Him and Pat Fitzgerald, the years we don't talk about them in the preseason a lot, they end up winning, 8-9 games, competing for a division championship. And then the years they get hyped up is kind of when I felt like this was a year that maybe they were flying under the radar, but I talked to a lot of people. I got some friends on the Iowa beat, and they were very confident going into the season that the coaching staff at Iowa really thought this team was good and it was maybe flying under the radar a little bit. It looks that way to me week one. So I'm going to take the 4.5 against your boy, Matt Campbell. Where would you be at on that game? I know you're not playing it, but is that more of your thoughts on that?
The only reason I wouldn't play it is it just looked like one of those fishy lines.
Yeah.
Like I thought the game would be picked. I thought it would, because these teams, every time they play, it's 17-16 or 21-17. And Iowa looked great last week. I mean, they annihilated that Indiana team that's supposed to be pretty good. And Iowa State was very lucky to win last week against Northern Iowa. The offensive line was not good. I thought the offense would be really good for them this year. They've got a lot of good tight ends, great running back, great quarterback. Everybody in the O-line back, they did not play well at all. And they just don't beat Iowa. And, I was close to taking Iowa. The only reason I didn't is it just looks too good to be true. Looks like a gift. And Vegas doesn't usually give money away. If I had to make a pick, I would take Iowa plus the points. I might even take a shot on Iowa on the money line. Until you've beaten somebody, you haven't beat them. And I think from a mental aspect in this game, I would think Iowa would be pretty confident. And the longer this game goes on, and if Iowa's got the lead or if it's close, I think there could be some panic set in on the Iowa State side. We had said early in the year, I'm not sure that this Iowa State team is ready to win 11 games or 10 games or 12 games. I mean, I think they kind of max out when they win 8 or 9. And now all of a sudden they're number 7 in the country and all this. I didn't see it last week. That's for sure. So if I had to make a pick, I would take Iowa plus the points, and I might take them on the money line straight up. I'm going to have to see Iowa State beat Iowa. I have to see it with my own eyes first. Haven't seen it yet.
Money line on that game, for what it's worth, for as of recording time, I'm seeing plus 162 for Iowa. So $100 bet wins you 162 if they win the game. That's pretty good value. So we'll see. That there was a little hesitancy there on my, I don't think the Rutgers line's fishy.
No.
Texas line to me was a little fishy, but then you think, okay, coming off top 25 game against Louisiana, it's a road game, it's an SEC environment, whatever. I guess I could talk myself into 7 being in the neighborhood, but this one I do have a little hesitancy that I'm falling for something, I guess, but I don't know. I just 4.5. That's a lot. That's a lot for the history of these two teams. It's a lot for what I saw last week. I'll roll the dice and gladly come and eat crow next week and talk about how I fell for it again or whatever next week. All right, let's move on to the NFL. I only have 2. I think you said you have 3, Bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with you then. What do you like in the NFL here, week 1? Kind of always an interesting week. You just never know, especially guys are playing so little in the preseason now. It's like you just don't know what to expect half the time.
Right.
But, what's up to the top of your list here for the NFL?
Yeah, I saw. I don't understand the line. Seattle's favored by 2.5 at Indianapolis. I would think Indianapolis should be favored, and that looks fishy to me. And I think Vegas is trying to trap you into taking Indianapolis. And for me, this one comes down to Russell Wilson versus Carson Wentz. And, I'll take Russell Wilson every day of the week there. I don't really like the West Coast team coming all the way east to play that early game, but I'm going with Russell Wilson here. I just think they've got weapons, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, they run the ball. And at the end of the game, Russell Wilson will make a play that wins it for his team. So I'm taking Seattle here, minus 2.5 on the road.
So this isn't one of my picks, but I had the same thought you did when I was looking at this. I was looking at the week 1 sheet in the NFL, and I came to the same conclusion you did. I said, boy, that is just begging you to take the Colts. But instead of taking Seattle, I just said, no, thank you. I just punted on this one. I'm actually seeing it 3 now. So if you got in at 2.5, good for you.
Yeah.
So it's even juicier, I guess, if you're looking at the Colts there. But I didn't like that. I'm punting on that. But I completely agree with your logic. The one I like, I think the most, and I could be, God, this is probably not a team you should be falling in love with just historically, but I like the Bengals +3 at home against the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to be basically what they were last year, which was not very good. I think the Bengals have a chance to be pretty good this year. I think Burrow looks healthy for now. He's got great weapons. We'll see how that revamped offensive line kind of holds up here, but I don't know. I like the Bengals. Could be one of those games that comes down to a field goal. I think it will. I think it'll be. I think I'm looking at something like in the like the 20, 28-24 range, 24-21, something like that. But I actually think the Bengals have a really good chance to win this game outright. So I'm just going to take the 3. I'm not going to do the money line. It's plus 133 is what I'm seeing right now, which I don't know. I don't think that's amazing value. I'll just take the 3. And then if they lose on a last second field goal, I won't be upset. We'll go with that. What else do you have here, NFL wise?
Yeah, my favorite play of the week is kind of something that I've done for years. Is it just been proven out statistically that the team that loses in the Super Bowl, there is a hangover the next year, and it usually lasts the whole year. Definitely lasts the first half of the season. I'm taking the Browns plus the 5.5 against Kansas City. I think the Browns can win the game. Kansas City, we got to see what that offensive line is like. They've They fell apart in the Super Bowl last year. They made a lot of changes on that O-line. They're a year older in a lot of spots defensively. Kelsey, I got to see it. I think Cleveland's an up and coming team. As a Steeler fan, I want to rip my tongue out for having to say that, but I like him. I like Baker Mayfield. I like the playmakers he has. They're going to run the ball on KC. I'm taking the Browns, and I won't be surprised if they win this game. And I think it's going to be a really high scoring game too. But I'll take those 5.5 points with Cleveland.
I kind of said my Iowa pick was my overreaction for college. And I know the NFL hasn't played any games yet, regular season games yet, but this is going to be my overreaction to the last week or so of news in the NFL. And I'm taking Las Vegas +4 at home against Baltimore on Monday night, because I don't know if Baltimore is going to have any skill players left for Lamar Jackson on Monday night. And so I think the Raiders could possibly surprisingly win that game. And certainly I'll take the 4 at home. It looks like Gus Edwards is out for the year. That's being reported by some really good NFL reporters. That would be a little bit surprising for them to be wrong. I'm sure there will be some type of official announcement, probably Friday, some point on Friday or Saturday. They're down. Bateman's out at receiver. They're down. Looks like they're going to be down with top 3 running backs. Looks like they're going to be out Marcus Peters.
Out.
I don't know. That to me looks like a game that if Baltimore's going to win, it's going to have to be by the skin of their teeth. And so I'm taking +4 and maybe overreacting to what has happened here the last few days in NFL news. But Bill, I think this is your last one. What do you got here?
Yeah. We did this all last year, and I don't think we ever disagreed on a selection yet. We usually don't pick the same games for some whatever, and we don't talk about these beforehand either. In this one, I'm with you all the way. That's my third pick. Vegas got their team last year, and they had no fans in the stands. Obviously, that place is going to be insane Monday night. It is going to be a crazy environment. I agree with you. I don't know how Baltimore's going to run the ball. I don't know who's left over there. It was supposed to be Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Those guys are all gone. Marcus Peters is a huge part of what they do defensively. I think Gruden is smart enough that he's going to make Lamar Jackson totally have to throw the ball every play. And without the threat of the running game, Lamar Jackson, I don't think he's good enough to be forced to throw it, 40 times, 45 times, 50 times. I don't see it. I think the Raiders will win this game, and I think it might be easy. I think they might blow Baltimore out. I think that crowd is going to be totally insane for their first NFL football game. They've waited for this for a year. I think Baltimore is walking into a hornet's nest, Monday night, and I'm with you 100% on this one. Vegas is that was my third pick.
Yeah, they got to be smelling blood, blood in the water there. Gosh, what a terrible run for the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I think these were all practice injuries. I don't think were any of these injuries in a preseason game. I think the 3 running backs and my gosh, someone needs to check the turf there or at their practice. Where are they? I was thinking that myself this week. I'm like, where are they practicing?
Yeah.
And
they might have used the Kent State indoor facility. I don't know anything, man. That's a death trap. But Marcus Peters and Gus Edwards were both hurt on a Thursday morning. I think
back-to-back plays. They said it was back-to-back plays
too. I don't think it was a padded practice. I think it was more of a walkthrough type thing. So bad luck, man. That's
unbelievable.
The Raiders.
Yep. All right. Well, that's our first episode of the actual season. We did the futures one like 2 weeks ago, but we'll be doing this every week. We'll go through the college games. We'll go through the NFL games. We'll probably do some like Heisman, like Super Bowl future. We'll probably do a bunch of that stuff at various points throughout the season as things get updated. But so those are our picks for the first week in the NFL. The second week in college, we'll have this. This will be the Friday. September 10th episode. So everyone, again, I don't know if I would suggest following us on these. Maybe Bill on college.
Let's prove
Maybe
ourselves first.
yeah. Let's maybe give us a week or two to get our feet under us before we cost everybody a bunch of money. But we'll be back here next week to kind of grade ourselves on how we did here and give our next week's picks. But appreciate everyone listening, and we'll talk to you over at BuckeyeScoop.com.